We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
With us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
Hi, my name is Serena. I am a mother to a toddler and currently pregnant.
And hi, I'm Lisa, also known as the Singing Amma. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an Amma.
At the beginning of my first pregnancy, I felt like I was lacking my village, which is why we are here creating a village with you, in hopes that you won't feel as isolated as I did.
I also felt the lack of a village in my early parenting years way back when. And I come to our village with a background in early childhood education. I have been coaching parents along their parenting journeys and supporting them for over 35 years.
Amma, Lisa, and I invite you to grab your latte
Or your tea
and come sit around the proverbial fire with us each week.
when we come together to have a conversation where we'll be talking all things parenting, keeping it real, keeping it raw, right here with you. In today's episode, Amma Lisa will read one of the Singing Amma's previously published magazine columns. After the reading, Mama Serena will join Amma Lisa for a deeper dive into today's topic. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Lisa, the Singing Amma. And this column today is called What to Do About Santa. New parents gaze at their bright-eyed little bundle and wonder as their first Christmas nears. What traditions do we as parents want to carry on now that we have a family of our own? Christmas baking, Christmas dinner, traditional foods, making or buying gifts and wrappings, stockings? Do we celebrate on Christmas Day, or if our children have 2 family homes, do we want to move our celebration to solstice? And what do we do about Santa? And what about the eventual upset that so many remember in the moment the truth about Santa was inevitably discovered? There is a beautiful story in my family about Santa. My parents, forward thinkers for their time, decided they did not want to perpetuate the myth of Santa. They sat their eldest down as the season approached and gently explained that there was, in fact, no such thing as Santa. The story goes that my sister was, well, somewhat outraged at this unseemly suggestion, and At the ripe old age of 3 years, she defiantly declared, "Well, there may be no such thing as Santa for you, but there is such thing as Santa for me." And that was that. The myth, lovingly known as Santa Claus, has been passed down a few generations further. So, Santa lives and life is good for a while. Trouble traditionally comes for children and their parents when children cross the awareness precipice and discover the upsetting, sometimes disheartening, and occasionally devastating truth about Santa. When it finally does make its way into the young brain as an inevitable fact. Uh-oh, what is a well-meaning parent to do? What to do about Santa, indeed. You could adopt the fun and simple tradition we created in our family for this news to be an exciting transition rather than an upsetting one. In our family, when you discover the truth about Santa, you get to become part of the magic. What that means is when a child discovers what really goes on behind sleeping eyes, he or she becomes the youngest member to fill the STOCKINGs. So fun! Our ongoing tradition is that everyone who is in the factual elements of the exciting stocking filling tradition gets to contribute. Each child gets or raises for themselves a few dollars to go shopping with. They get to purchase the stocking stuffers of their choice. And when the big night finally arrives, that night before Christmas, the youngest are the first to fill the toe of each stocking, hung by the chimney with care. Since we invented this playful way of dealing with the unveiling of the truth behind the stocking tradition, we have not had one tear spilled over the discovery. In fact, becoming part of the magic has proven to be just as exciting in these transition years as was there prior to ignorant bliss. So good. No more tears at Santa's truth being revealed. No more heartbreak. And more possibility of maintaining the silent pact of the magic, safe from any as yet unknowing siblings, cousins, and friends. Let the magic and the tradition carry on.
Hello, I'm Mama Serena.
And I am Lisa. And today, let's talk about what to do about Santa.
What to do? Well, your parents told your sister at the age of 3.
Mm-hmm.
When did you tell your daughter, or how did she find out?
I didn't tell her. She asked me at some point because she had heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember. She was pretty old. I think she was like 6. Some kids find out when they're 3 or 4 or 5. Some kids it's 6, 7, 8, even 9. That's, for the only children or for the oldest child, it'll be later usually. For the younger ones, especially if it didn't go well for the oldest one, and they're feeling in a particularly cranky mood, they might just throw that in there, right? A lot of times kids find out when they're at school or out in the community with other kids somewhere, right? And so when she said to me, "Mama, is it is it true there's no Santa?" And I'm like, "Actually, the thing is, when you find out about the magic of Santa, you get to become part of the magic.
Yes.
And she was like, okay. And I just spun it like that. I know that's what I said in the column, but I just spun it like that with a really excited tone of voice and a mysterious, magical tone of voice, and just made it very alluring for her. And I will tell you also, when my oldest grandson, who's just turning 15, when he found out, he was pretty disappointed. But then his mom, my daughter, told him about the magic. And then she told me that he knew. So I said, oh, can I go do the shopping with you? Because that would be fun. And so then he and I had these really fun surprise shopping trips that, we got to do just the two of us. And he had some money to spend. And I totally let him do the shop for it, and he's a very good organizer. So he knew like how many things he could buy. He was at a very young age, very good at organizing. Another child might need to, you might want to have a list of the names of everybody. And, there can be a math part involved where you look at how much money. So maybe there's 4 people in your family to buy stocking things for. I don't know about you guys, but in our family, babies to grandparents, we all get a stocking. That's my favorite part. It's my favorite part of Christmas. And so maybe there's 4 people in your family. So maybe the child is given at a young age, they're given $40. Maybe when they're teenagers, they put in their own money. It's up to individual families to decide, but give them $40 and they got $10 for each stocking, or give them $5 or $20 and they've got $5 for each stocking, or whatever, whatever your family budget is. And it's so fun.
Yeah, I love that tradition. It's so cute.
Do you know, everyone that I've shared it with and everyone that's tried it has thanked me immensely, because sometimes when kids find out, it is devastating. It's like, no, so devastating, right? But if you can spin it right away to be something exciting for them, you want to acknowledge, let's just say, you don't want to spin it immediately. You want to acknowledge, oh, I can hear how much that hurts. It can be very upsetting to find out that something you believed to be a certain way isn't that way. And most things in our family, everything except for these sorts of fun, exciting things, we're really, really honest and truthful about. And then there's a few things like Santa Claus that are fun. And it's fun to have a myth or a creation that we've made that adds a magical element.
Yes.
And I hear how disappointed you are. And you get to become part of the magic now.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, your sister was outraged. And I love how she stood up for herself and was like, well, there's Santa for me.
I know. And it was so fun. When was she born? Late 50s, 1950s. And so, kind of forward thinking parents. And they're like, we don't want to lie to our kids. Why would we lie to our children? This is ridiculous. Why would we want to do that? And she's just like, well, there may be no Santa for you, but there's a Santa for me.
Yeah, good for her.
I know. Yeah.
Well, since I like to look up statistics, I looked up how kids felt about the whole thing. And it's funny because I was amazed by this. The average child usually learns around 8 years old that there is no Santa, which I thought was, I thought that was pretty high.
That's high, I think.
Yeah, maybe that it's a little off.
I mean, that would make some kids, what 8 to 12? What did they say that average?
8.4 years old.
So 8, so 6 to 10. 10 seems pretty old. Mind you, my younger grandson was pretty old. He's 10 now. He might have only had a couple years. He might have been 8.
Yeah. I think for me, it was around 6
Yeah.
because I remember for us, we would go to a Christmas party at the sportsman club. My grandparents would take me there, and my uncle would dress up as Santa. And I remember
Mm.
realizing that's my uncle. That's not Santa Claus. So I think I was around 6, which at first, when I thought about it, I was like, I had to be 4. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, I think I was like 6 years old, which also surprised me. So 6 to 8, I don't know, seems kind of high, but it's funny.
Depends how good you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also read 15% felt betrayed, 10%
Mhm.
felt angry,
Mhm.
30% felt like their trust was affected,
Mhm.
their trust in their parents, which I like because it is fun. It's mythical, and the way your family does it, creating that tradition of bringing them into the gift giving experience. And I mean, that teaches them independence. They're shopping, they're learning how to give, which is awesome because they have to be selfless and buy a gift for their siblings or whoever it is. And that's also sweet because it's the time of giving and not expecting and wanting more for yourself. It's forgiving. So I love that tradition that you guys do. I think I'm gonna take that into my family too, because it's just so
Nice.
cute. And
Nice.
it does transform that betrayal and trust or lack of trust, because it's like, oh, now you're coming into this, and
Yeah.
it switches the whole perspective.
And it's so there's a few things to talk about. I mean, I invented this in my family. And my daughter, I can't actually remember. I should ask her. But I don't think she was terribly, she wasn't angry. She was a bit shocked as far as I can recall. So I haven't dealt with any child that's been really angry or felt betrayed or
Mm-hmm.
lost their trust in the family. But what I want to talk about now, this brings is a really nice bridge to talking about how to be with our children when they're experiencing really big emotions
Mm-hmm.
and some of the what we would call negative emotions. There's some air quotes that you can't see on a podcast. Negative emotions. I don't actually think any emotions are negative or positive. Some feel uplifting and some feel harder. But anyway, how do we be with our children when they're having big emotions? So, the very best way, okay, let me back up. A lot of parents want to rush in and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to rush in and make the emotions go away. They want to rush in. If your child falls and they scrape their knee and they're crying, it's okay. It's okay. Let me kiss it. I'll kiss it better. Or you're fine. Don't cry. It wasn't that big a deal. Both of those things undermine the fact that the child fell, scraped their knee, and there are now tears happening.
Mm-hmm.
It might be because they hurt themselves and their knee. I mean, I've scraped my knee and it hurts,
Yeah.
and um, so it might be that it's painful in a physical sense. It might also be that it totally shocked the heck out of them, and that you know that brings a physiological reaction to us, which can cause tears.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing, and I'm using the falling down crying example because it's one we all deal with, and it's very classic that people want to cover those feelings up for their kids. We don't like seeing our children cry. It hurts our hearts. Or for some people, it might make you mad. For me, it hurts my heart to see a child cry.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Children are going to get hurt emotionally, physically, and socially. We are here to support them in learning ways to get through the pain. whether it's whatever kind of pain it is. One of the very, very best ways, and we're going to talk about this a lot on the podcast going forward, on and on. Well, the very best ways is to acknowledge the feeling that you see. And acknowledging the feeling allows a child to be okay with whatever it is they're feeling. It's so let's go back to the Santa. So why don't you do you want to do you feel comfortable role playing? Like, do you want to be the kid who feels angry or betrayed, or do you want me to just talk about it?
No, I'll be a kid.
Okay, you be the kid. And then I'm going to respond to you with emotional support.
Okay.
Kind of a response. So you just found out about Santa and you come home and you tell me, and what's up?
Mommy, they told me that there's no Santa. Is that true? You lied to me?
Oh, honey, this is an amazing moment in your life.
But you told me there was Santa, and this whole time there was no Santa.
I did tell you there was Santa.
So who gives me the presents?
And it wasn't actually, oh boy, I'm not doing very well with this. So yeah, you want to talk about this?
Okay.
Really? Or do you just want to be mad and stomp your feet?
I'm mad. You lied to me.
You're mad and I lied to you. Ouch. That feels like it hurts.
Yeah.
You're angry.
Mommy. Yes.
And your mom, you don't expect me to lie to you.
No.
So you can be mad. It's totally cool to be mad. When you find out that somebody lied to you, it's a perfectly perfect response. Now, depending on your child's age, they're going to display anger differently, and you're going to respond with acknowledging the feeling. And you can say a little more to older kids, but what I want to say is don't go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it, because they stop hearing you. So if your child is angry, yeah, you have a right to be angry if you think that I lied to you, even about something so fun as Santa Claus. You definitely have a right to be angry. You can be angry at me for a minute. And then when you're done being angry, I want to tell you something exciting about it. So acknowledging the feeling. And if your child comes in and they are feeling betrayed, oh, it can really hurt to feel betrayed. It can make it feel like your whole world, you don't know what's real when you feel betrayed. That can be a really yucky feeling. Betrayal is not nice. And they will not probably say the word betrayal at those ages or feeling betrayed, but you know that emotion. What we do when we give young children words that describe emotions, betrayal, instead of angry, it might be irate or frustrated, or, different kinds of emotional words. We're building their emotional vocabulary, and building an emotional vocabulary builds an emotionally capable human as we grow,
yeah.
right? People who can speak about their emotions, just like people who can speak about their various body parts, have more agency over their body usually. People who can speak about their emotions have more agency over their emotions. They can own their emotions. They know what they're feeling more often. Kids who get told, don't be mad at me. Everybody tells their kids that they believe in Santa, that Santa's real. Don't be mad at me. You have no right to be mad at me. Everybody, go ask your friends. Everybody believes in, that might be another response, because we parents don't know how to be with feelings. Right? We don't know how to be, especially with the big feelings, and especially when they're directed at us. Mommy, I hate you. You told me that there was a Santa and there's no Santa. I hate you. Oh, honey, I get that this is really not a nice moment for you. This is painful. This hurts. No, it doesn't hurt. I'm mad at you.
Mhm.
Okay, I get it. You're angry. You're really, really, I'm so angry. Yeah, you are really, really angry. I get that.
And you have a right to be. It's good to sit with those emotions because, like most of us adults, we don't know how to sit with our emotions.
Exactly. And so then we get those big emotions coming at us and we react to them
Mhm.
because we don't know how to be with our emotions. Now our child is devastated, betrayed, angry. We are the evil person in the world because we perpetuated this belief that is not true. How could we do this to our children? So that's why I invented what to do about Santa. And so all of this is to say, acknowledge your child's feeling, give it a name the feeling so that you're building their feeling vocabulary. There's a printable that we will make, Serena, that we can pop into maybe the
show notes.
The show notes. That we can let people print off. It's a beautiful, just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper printed off, and it's got so many faces with different expressions, and they all have a feeling name under each face. And there's so many, they're just great. And when I was moving at one point, and my niece was probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8, and I was getting all packed up to move from one house to another, and she said, points to this feelings picture that's had always been on my wall at kid level on the fridge is a great place for it. And she said, all nonchalant, kind of, you're going to bring this to your new house, right? I'm like, yeah, you like the feelings sheet, hey? And she goes, yeah, it's kind of cool. And it's great. So I won't say more about that until we do have it for you, but it is a great printable. So once I get that, we'll pop it in the show notes for you. Well, we'll have it by the time this is posted, this episode, I'm sure. So that'll be there. And so building a feelings vocabulary is fabulous for both of you, for everybody in the family.
Yeah.
I get that you're feeling angry with me right now. And it's okay to feel angry. And the child might, what we're afraid of sometimes is if we acknowledge a big feeling, is that the feeling's going to get bigger. Sometimes that happens. And that's okay too. The feeling needs to get as big as it needs to get. There are ways to direct big feelings that I can also share with you, like drawing your feelings is a great one. We can go into more about that if you want to now or another time. But acknowledging a child's feelings, a person's feelings, allows them to feel the feeling and not have to be defensive about it.
Sorry, that's just great with marriage. Because I know when I have a feeling and my husband does not acknowledge that feeling, it makes that feeling a million times bigger because it's like, are you kidding me?
1,000%.
Yeah.
We are a humanity that doesn't acknowledge feelings, and we don't allow feelings. And thank you for saying that, because whenever I am working with parents as a parent coach, whenever I have taught classes of parent education, whether it's, doing a guest speaking engagement or teaching a 7-week workshop, like whatever it is, I am continually saying, you know how it is. If you have a big feeling and your significant other, or if you don't live with another person, if you don't live with the other parent, if your best friend, whoever, if you're going, I'm so mad right now, you know what just happened to me? And you tell this significant other of yours what just happened, and they're like, well, that doesn't sound like that big a deal.
It just blows up and you're
like, what?
Thanks. You
Like,
just made it 10 times worse.
you just start the cursing and the, like, it's amazing. And that happens to our children all the time because we, as adults who can't be with our own emotions and don't have an emotion vocabulary, we shut them down. And then they grow up to be adults like us who don't know how to be there for our significant other's emotions. And it doesn't surprise me that a lot of men can't be there for their women's emotions because those poor little boys were told at a very young age, get up, brush yourself off. It doesn't hurt. They felt pain and their pain was not acknowledged. Their pain was dismissed. It's not okay to feel pain. That's what the brain does. My knee really hurts right now, but it's not okay to express my pain. Emotions are scary because I get in trouble when I have them. That's why our husbands and partners, men or women, can't be there for us in those ways because that's how they were treated. That emotions are not okay. And the singing Amma is here to say emotions are all okay. Dr. Haim Ganot is the psychologist whose work I learned so much from over the years, one of the main psychologists. And he says, every feeling is acceptable. Some behaviors need to be altered. But behind every behavior that we don't like, I'm not going to call them good or bad behaviors, but every behavior that seems unacceptable, there's a feeling behind that. So that's why I said we're going to talk a lot about feelings moving forward in this podcast in We Are the Village, because if we address the feelings behind the behavior, we get less and less and less and less of those behaviors. True story.
And it all starts with Santa. Just kidding.
Yeah, now back to Santa. So there we are, feeling, a child feeling betrayed, feeling angry, feeling like bewildered. So acknowledge the feeling, let them feel the feeling, and then include them and invite them into the magic. And I want parents to also be really clear that you're right. In this family, we don't tell lies to one another. So there's a difference between a lie and a surprise that's exciting and fun, like Santa.
Yeah. And to try to keep it alive for your younger siblings.
Yeah. Well, they will. You see, if they're part of the magic, they want to keep it alive.
And I read that 65% of people played along, even though they found out about Santa, and they like to play along because that's the fun of Christmas. Santa.
Hello, I'm 60 years old. I still play along.
Yep. I remember I used to get jealous thinking that my mom gets to stay up and see Santa and I have to go to bed. And I used to get so jealous.
Oh, that's lovely. I might write a song about that. That's really sweet.
Well, one of the songs that reminded me, somebody got to kiss Santa. How does that song go?
I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Yes. That's what would pop up into my head when I would think about it. But one thing that I thought was funny, which I don't even know how I went about it when I was younger, but I had a separated family. So Christmas Eve is when the Hispanics celebrate Christmas, and then Christmas I'd be with my dad on Christmas Eve, and they open presents at 12. And now that I think about it, when does Santa get in? When does he?
Wait, you open presents from Santa on Christmas Eve?
Yeah, for Spanish people, they celebrate on Christmas Eve.
Well, we celebrate on Christmas Eve too, the Nordic countries, so Iceland. So I grew up with my Icelandic family. But our Christmas Eve was all the extended family. That's when we would get the presents from the aunties and the uncles and the grandparents, and we would give presents to the other cousins and the grandparents. And then Christmas morning was at home with our own little nuclear family. and we would have stockings and presents from Santa, because Santa comes on Christmas Eve. That's interesting.
Yeah.
How did Santa get there if you weren't sleeping yet?
I don't know. I don't know. And we would be up till 12, and then that's when you open gifts. And then
okay, but how did the gifts get there? Like, I'm so confused right
magically.
now. Right?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember that part. And then Christmas Day for most of my Spanish family was just the regular day, being off, and then I would spend that day with my mom's side of the family. So I just thought that was interesting. For Spanish people, when does Santa come in?
That's I would like I request that you go ask and come back and tell us another time, because that's really interesting. All right. Well, I'll just put in here too that I became a single mama. And the first year that I was a single mom, my daughter and I had Christmas Eve together, Christmas morning, and I dropped her off, I don't know, maybe at noon or something. And she had Christmas dinner and evening and Boxing Day with her dad. And I cried all the way home after I dropped her off.
Mm-hmm.
And and I said, no, I'm not doing this again, because I love Christmas. And one of the things I love about Christmas is you stay in your pajamas all day and you play with your new toys, and or you play the new games or whatever it is, and you just don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. Oh, you might go out for Christmas dinner with your extended family, whatever the traditions are. But so I also didn't want to not have Christmas with her one year, because she was my only child, and now I was a single parent. So her dad had a new partner who also had kids. But anyway, I didn't want to trade off. I get this Christmas, you get next Christmas, because I'm like, hell no.
Yeah.
I don't want to be alone every other Christmas. Oh, that's not it. So when she came home, I said to her, I want to find a new way of doing it. We talked about it. She didn't like it either. I said, let's find a new way of doing it. Now, for me and for her, we love solstice, and we'd already been celebrating solstice in bringing the light and having candlelight and fires outside, and because we live in the country, so we're allowed to have bonfires. and so I said, what about if we combine the two and we put everything that we love about Christmas and we just did it on solstice? So we'd have all our solstice ritual kind of things, and then we'd have our Christmas stuff too. And so we did, from the next year all the way through till she was done college, because she still came home for Christmas when she was in college. All the way through, we celebrated on the 21st of December. And so we would have our solstice eve, and we would I guess it depended when it fell, because she wasn't always out of school on solstice. Well, most of the time she was. Anyway, we would have our solstice eve, which was Christmas Eve. We'd have a bit of a feast or whatever. And sometimes we had extended family come and stay with us and make it a bigger Christmas. But anyway, and then Christmas morning, solstice morning, we would have our stocking. Like, Santa would come to us early. She must have already known. She already knew about Santa. She was 7 that year. So the year that we started this, she was 8, and she already knew about the magic of Santa. So yeah. Anyway, it was really lovely. We just moved everything that we wanted to move with us onto a different day.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah. And then we got to have all our celebrations that we wanted to have. And we then also celebrated the light, and we were more focused on that part of it too, celebrating the returning of the light and being one with nature. As we go forward in the podcast, you're all going to know that that's really, really about who I am. Getting our children outside into nature, getting ourselves outside into nature, because it's healing out there in many ways. But anyway, I wanted to share that because, there are a lot of single parent families out there, and we can be creative. We can make it be whatever we want it to be. We can make it work. We don't have to be governed by a day. And it was kind of fun. There was like this extra bonus, which was on the 21st of December, we were done. All the stress that leads up to it, no matter how de-stressing you're trying to make your life, all the stress. And then we'd go out on the 22nd, people would be like rushing around doing the last minute panic.
And you're like,
and we'd
haha.
be just like, la, la, la. We had 3 extra days of joy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
So that was a fun tradition that we created too.
That's cute. And just me as a kid with separated families, I loved having 2 Christmases, celebrating on Eve and Christmas. I never had a problem with who I was gonna, just as a kid. I don't know about my parents, but I loved it because I was like, so many gifts.
Me too. I came from a separated family also. And so I remember as a little girl being like, yeah, it's great having 2 families because you get 2 Christmases. I mean, a lot of it wasn't great. That part was really
great. And thankfully, my dad celebrated on Eve and my mom celebrated on the day. So it was never an argument between them.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things to do about Santa. And a whole bunch of things to do about feelings, because sometimes there's a lot of feelings at this time of year. So we really wanted to also talk about that part of the holiday season. All right.
All righty. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Thanks for being here with us in our virtual village. We'd love you to join our Facebook group at The Village Parenting Community and on Instagram at The Village Parenting Pod.
And if you enjoy our podcast, please like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you have a moment, please leave us a review. It makes a big difference for us in reaching more parents out there who may be feeling alone.
Please direct message us to connect also. We absolutely love hearing from you. And until next week, we'll be keeping it real and raw right here with you.
This podcast is sponsored by the Singing Amma's private parent coaching and workshop offerings, and also by Enlightened Designs for Crafty Mamas.